Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here making one of those trifold cards. The products I'll be using are by Paper Rose, and the one with the butterflies is called the Butterfly Card Creator Die. And then we'll be adding a sentiment called the Thank You Layered Metal Die. As always, the products that I used will be listed down in the video description below. I'm starting with a piece of cardstock that I've cut in half to be 8.5 by 5.5, and then I scored it at the 4 1/4. I'm going to, on one of these panels, I'm just going to cut a slither off, and I'm going to layer these. Just by cutting that small, less than like 1/8 of an inch off, the two sides will fold flat, or at least that back piece will lay flat inside the back part of the card. We're going to kind of put a card within a card. I'm going to take the one butterfly. So these two butterflies actually face each other to the center of the card. So I'm taking one panel and I'm putting that along the 1-inch mark from the score line. I'm using the grid that I work on to line these up. So the one that sits on the right hand side, I put in 1 inch, and the one that I set on the right side, I put at 3/4 of an inch because it's a larger butterfly. When you run these through your die cutting machine, it cuts the rest of the card off. So you have this beautiful image that will be cut out along the side. With these dies that Paper Rose has created, it just makes it easier to do that. We don't have to do any partial die cutting. By running it through your machine, it does all of the work for you. I'm going to pop out all of these little bits, move them to the side, and then we're going to continue. Now, I'm creating a card within a card, and you'll see what I mean when we do that. By cutting, again, taking off that 1/8 of an inch, each side is going to lay a normal way. I'm going to take the panel that's on the right, I'm going to add some tape runner and then liquid glue. For something like this, I want to make sure that I have a good contact, and that will definitely be permanent. So using both liquid adhesive and a tape runner, I'm going to have that. It won't come undone. I'm going to do the same thing now with some white cardstock, because I'm actually going to overlay white on the front. So again, the butterfly on the right hand side, I'm going to line that up along the inch mark, and then the butterfly that sits on the left hand side, that's going to be lined up along the 3/4 edge. If anything hangs over, you'll see that I will use my long shears just to trim that up. But this way I can now take these die cuts and lay them right over. You do not have to do this step. I just wanted to make it a little bit more sturdy. You could use the same color cardstock if you wanted. I just wanted to have that third color to come into play for the card. Again, just removing all those little bits, and then we're going to line them up onto the front left and right. I'll be using liquid adhesive for that. And just making sure I go putting little tiny dots where the butterfly is, and then making sure I have a good amount along the strip. Going to lay this flat, and what I'm lining up here is the butterfly. I want to make sure that the butterfly is covered. Now, if it's not completely, like with the antennas, then we'll have that shadow of the light blue coming through. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side of the card. Again, lining up the butterflies to make sure that they are in place. Now, the top is just a little bit shorter on that side, and that's okay. I'm just going to trim that off with my paper trimmer. For the two sides, I'm going to use my long shears once it's folded over. Long shears, I do feel, are a staple. They're a staple in my paper crafting because you can get, since the shears are so long, you can get a straight cut in one swipe. So now I have an inner panel. So it's a top folding card, and this is cut just smaller than a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So there's like 1/8 of an inch taken off. So you're looking at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I'm going to glue the back part of that panel inside so that when these fold over and it's opened, that will also be able to be flipped up as well. So you can have your message hidden underneath that. I'm just going to use some repositional tape to keep these areas flat, and I'm going to work on the sentiment. So I used the same color that I did for the inside. This is Nina Desert Storm, and I die cut the clouds in those, and then I used white cardstock for the sentiment itself, and I'm layering 3 of those to give it a little bit more dimension and to make it a little more sturdy. Once these are layered up, I will put them onto the cloud. Now they will come across the card as well. Now you could certainly, I wanted to make this card basically in a monochromatic way, so not too many colors, but you could use even a different color or create your own background for the inside. So you could add clouds, you could add a stencil design onto that card that we put inside to give it a little bit of a decoration or a background feel behind the butterflies. I'm going to add glue just under 2 of the letters and have that sit on the one border. You want to make sure that's the only place you're putting your glue so that you don't glue the flap down. I almost did it. And then we're going to do the same thing with the U, and they're going to be entwined with the butterflies. I'm going to remove that repositional tape, and pretty much our card is done for the most part. We have to design the closure. I pulled in some twine, I double layered, and then I'm going to weave it through the 2 butterflies and then just tie a bow in between. This way the card will be closed and won't add too much more bulk to the card itself. Again, I am not good with bows, so this is always fun to watch. At least I'm giving you some entertainment here. And then just rearranging and placing the bow. And that's pretty much what our card's going to look like. So when the recipient receives it, they can untie the bow, open that up, and then also look inside for their message. This will stand. It stands very well because it's really resting on the 2 side pieces that are coming in. I hope you enjoyed today's project and to see that, yes, we don't necessarily need dies to create these types of cards, but if you're someone that's not really into the whole partial die cutting, this does make that process a little bit easier. As always, the products that I used will be listed down below in the video description, and if you have any questions, please make sure that you leave those down below, and someone should be getting back to you soon. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the thumbs up and ring the bell so that you are notified of any future videos that are live. Enjoy your process, enjoy your art, have fun and try new things, but always remember what's most important. Always be creative and I'll talk to you in the next one. Till then.